will start things off with a Judge. The thing with Christian Ortiz's deck is, you know, it hits Zork for weakness, and because you only need 2 Passimian in play to knock out a Zorua, the bar of what he'll need to do is pretty low to start immediately taking prizes, you know, which makes this Judge all the more potent.
Yeah, now I recognize Deoxys not a super strong attacker in this format. I assume he benched the Deoxys and attached to it primarily because he was worried, well, if I judge myself out of the game here, at least I'll have a Deoxys with a DCE on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. I mean, I don't think you want to put down Deoxys in this matchup, but he had it in his hand. He was going to play a Judge. You always worry about bricking yourself.
Yeah. So Ben Sauk actually plays a Mallow on the first turn, and you know, that's not the supporter you want to play going first or on your first turn with a Zoric deck.
Yeah, especially when you've played no other cards before you play that Mallow. It's one of those situations where you're like, the first thing I'm going to do is put a supporter on top of the deck.
Yeah, so if I'm Christian, that's probably the second best thing I could have seen. The best one, of course, just being a solid pass from Ben. But this is sort of the same. I mean, now Christian has a great opportunity to get a Passimian and knock out this Zorua and win the game here. So we'll see what he does. Ben is eyeing, looks like that's a Nest Ball and a Lele. So maybe he's...
Does he have a way to draw 2 cards?
I'm looking at his list.
Supporter?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he's just going to chill,
passes.
Right?
Now Christian's got a chance to win this game right now.
Maybe he's going to Lily and then draw the Nest Ball off that.
Well, if he grabs a Lily, then he shuffles his deck, so the Nest Ball is gone.
Oh, true.
So it could be he just puts it on there just because, why not?
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah, you wonder if there's any rhyme or reason behind that second attachment.
So Christian, unfortunately, with the attachment of the counter energy, shows that he does not have the donk on Ben Sauk. So huge sigh of relief from Ben, but he does have Brooklet, so he'll grab one of his Passimian, and he'll probably use Mimikyu's first attack, Filch, which allows you to just draw 2 cards. Pretty gross sounding attack.
Yeah, I mean the sad thing is the nature of the Deoxys attack is unless he doesn't even run like a Psychic Energy to be able to take advantage of the Deoxys second attack.
Yeah, that one's probably just his counter to Buzzhole, same as Mew. So he has a Zork in hand, so that's why he put the Nest Ball on top as well, so he can trade into Lele and the Nest Ball and do both.
Yeah.
So it's a smart play. Obviously, I mean, he figures, you know, either I lose this turn or, you know, I can force a good setup here. So smart play by Ben. And now he has a chance to kind of assert some dominance over the game. He can use Christian's Brooklet to find a Rockruff as well as the Nest Ball, so he can get 2 basics here. So actually, this is pretty quickly turning around for Ben.
Gonna think for a second about what supporter he wants to get when he Lele's. Check some prizes.
The thing that kind of makes this an uphill battle for Ben, we've seen some of the Zoric decks running weakness policy to deal with Buzzhole decks and fighting type Pokemon. Ben does not run any copies of that card, which means that, you know, these Passimian are going to kind of have a heyday, a field day with these Zorics. So looks like Ben's going to grab a supporter here, Cynthia. Touches a double, so he'll knock out this Mimikyu. But the problem is if he does this, then he triggers all of Christian's counter energy. So now it goes from you know, 4 energy left for, or 4 energy left for Christian to 7 energy now, which means that his chances of knocking it out are much higher.
Right.
So if I'm Ben, really one I want to find is just more Zorua. Doesn't look like I see any of that. Does have another Rockruff though, that's good. And he'll just be able to take the knockout on the Mimikyu. And now it is Passimian's time to play.
This is it is the fact that he missed the early DCE puts him kind of a turn behind on energy attachments. I know he's going to be wishing he had a Lycanroc sooner rather than later. It's very challenging.
Yeah, the thing with this Pissimian deck is actually it has the ability to one-shot um, both Zork and Lycanroc, regardless of weakness. So Pissimian does 10 plus 30 for each Pissimian you have in play. And then in addition to that, it has Diancie to buff damage. And then it has two of the Pissimians.
Is it 10 plus 30 for each one in play, or 30 on the bench?
30 on the bench, I'm sorry,
Okay,
I believe.
okay. And then there's the ability that gives you extra damage output, right?
Right, and so the Pissimian's ability does 30 more damage to evolution Pokemon, which is what both Zork and Lycanroc are. So 10 plus 90 is 100. Diancie is 120. Choice Band is 150. The Pissimians go to, that's plus 60, so that's 210. And then with Shrine of Punishment, that's 220. Unfortunately, he doesn't do that. And he actually doesn't even knock out the Zork here, which is not what he wanted to see. That judge actually ended up hurting him a lot more than it did Ben.
Yeah, he's been bricking pretty hard since then.
And now if I'm Ben, what I want to find is an energy for my Rockruff, I think. Get a fighting energy down. Rockruff is going to be useful. Oh, he opts to just use Acerola instead. I guess he figures Christian has a poor hand, so if he couldn't one-shot that Zork, his chances of knocking out a fresh Zork are, you know, just as low.
That's a 6. They clarify for a moment.
It's one heads
and a
one
tails.
heads. Probably grab Lycanroc. I'm not sure if he'll
goes
use
immediately
it.
for the Lycanroc.
I think maybe if I'm Ben, I don't know. Knocking out this attacking Pissimian seems okay. Alternatively, lowering its damage cap by knocking out, say, the Pissimian on the bench might not be awful.
I mean, I think if you had to choose between one of the Pissimians, one has energy on it. It seems like you would just kill that.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, does he think he can bench another Pokemon and kill the Diancie?
He could if he wants to.
I don't know how much that moves the needle versus just killing Pissimians. Can't get the Diancie back, but how much it improves the math. Yeah, he just kills the active.
So now Christian has this Deoxys that can attack, and you see the shrine start to tick with the damage. Christian he tops a Cynthia, so now he can get back into this game here. He'll need, he's got a couple copies of Rescue Stretcher. He's actually got 4 copies of Rescue Stretcher, so his ability to get Pissimian back is pretty easy. He's got Acrobikes to draw more off of this Cynthia potentially, and all of his counter energies and double colorless are active, so he could come back swinging here with some good draws off this Cynthia.
What does Pokénav do?
Pokénav, I believe it.
We are taxing the powers of Pokemon players. This new format is a tough one.
I actually, full disclosure to all people watching, I'm not entirely sure what Pokénav does. I believe it looks at the top 4 cards, and I think you take a Pokemon there, but I could be off base on that one. We'll try and. So.
All right. So Pokénav lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then grab an energy or Pokemon.
Okay, so we were kind of close.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, so we'll give us points for that one.
I think the question is, would Trainer Chip have been able to just like recite the card verbatim?
Almost certainly.
God, that guy.
Trainer Chip's knowledge of cards is encyclopedic. So he plays double Acrobike here. So he has 2 Pissimian down. So if he can find like a Rescue Stretcher or an ability to get another one of the Pissimian out of the deck and an energy, he can knock out this Zork. I don't know if he has those cards.
Yeah, I assume his goal is just to find an energy and retreat the Deoxys and hit it at the Zoroark, right? I mean, the Deoxys is just not a good attacker this game. It was just what he had.
He actually just attacks with Deoxys. Deoxys has the same attack as Mewtwo from Evolutions had. I think it's just called Energy Press as well.
No, it's called Psychic.
Called Psychic, okay. It's same effect. 20 plus 20 more damage for each energy on the defending Pokemon. So that'll do 60, and then Zork resists with 40. But the Shrine damage will tick a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's still, he's now, he'll have to at least 2-shot a Zoroark. Kind of 3-shot because Ben healed the other one he damaged. So Ben is firmly in the driver's seat. He can kind of start to run away with this game. get some energy in play. He's going to keep targeting down these Passimian, just keep forcing Christian to find more and more cards to fight back. So this is a very smart play by Ben. Plays Palpad, puts back the Guzma and Acerola. Acerola will be useful if Christian again fails to one-shot one of these Zoroarks. Passimian, like of all of the decks that Passimian wants to face, it's a Zoroark deck. If nothing else, it wants to feast on Zoroark, and Christian is struggling to do even that in this game.
Well, once again, he had to attach the DC to the Zoroark to keep attacking instead of starting to power up a Rockruff. I mean, the good news is he can always pull into multi-switch and do a cute multi-switch play. But he'd like to get a Lycanroc online to just mow through these Pokemon.
We actually just got word that Trainer Chip did, in fact, know what the card did at the drop of a hat. So Chip knows them all. So we see a Cynthia here. Really he's looking for a lot. He's looking for ways to get Passimian back. There's that Pokenav. Maybe you can find a Passimian for him or double. That's useful. I don't see stretchers or anything to recover Passimian. He attaches to Coco actually. He's going to retreat and maybe just use Coco. Utilize Shrine as well to at least get some sort of pressure on Ben, but this is not what Christian wants to be doing at this point in the game.
Yeah, the Zoroark's just going to take a knockout on this Coco unless he decides to use another Passimian, right?
I think something that Christian's doing also is, he probably starts to realize that the game is kind of like, it's getting very difficult for him to win. But he knows that both of these decks, they play fast, so he'll be able to win, go through the other two games. So maybe he's just trying to find out information from Ben, who uses a Lycanroc to pull up the next Passimian. This is smart by Ben. This is how you want to handle this sort of deck.
He's got the Shrine replacement. He's got the ability to pull up a Pokemon off the bench with Lycanroc. He now has the free turn to attach to that Lycanroc, and he's ready to run through Christian's board with Claw Slash. You can't ask for a better board state than what Ben's got here.
Yeah, and by knocking out those two Passimian that deal damage, Ben is almost guaranteeing that Lycanroc won't be knocked out in one hit by Passimian, even though Zoroark would with weakness. So just doing everything he can to put himself ahead of what would otherwise be a pretty poor prize deficit, weakness and stuff. Christian replaces with a Shrine. I think it's too little, too late. Actually, another strategy that Christian has, he does have the Tapu Lele, which second attack allows you to move the damage on your opponent's board freely, which means if he can spread enough damage with Coco and with Shrine, he might be able to, move some damage and knock out some big threats.
The problem is Ben's only got two prizes left. He's going to take a prize next turn off the DNC or the Coco. I just don't know how he gets. There's not enough damage on the board because he's finding Devoured Field. He's able to keep the Shrines from ticking every single turn. And if he'd had 2 or 3 more turns of Shrine, that'd be a play. But I don't see how this game takes longer than 2 turns at this point.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to win the game next turn to stop Ben from running through the board.
There's another Coco. Probably just wants the free retreat option for later.
I know he wants to do a stall play here, right? Like, I'm sure he's probably thinking, the only hope I have is to stall Coco spread once or twice, Shrine, and then pray that Ben can't find a Guzma.
Problem is that Acerola is also a live out for Ben because everything has damage.
And Ben's got a monstrous hand size at this point. And Christian's played his only judge. There's no chance for him to reset Ben's hand.
Yeah, Passimian is one of those decks that doesn't really play judge, doesn't really care what its opponent has for hand size because it just wants to draw a lot of cards every turn and keep the monkeys flowing.
Yeah. He's going to take another prize here.
So if I'm Ben, I probably want to, attach another energy to maybe a different.
He's gonna trade twice.
Oh, geez. Turns out that we have actually been referring to Passimian as a monkey. It is, in fact, a lemur. We do apologize for that.
The people for the rights of lemurs
Yeah.
want to rep the lemurs of the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the king of Madagascar is a lemur, so I bet he would be upset. But
And upsetting him, as I can testify, is apparently a terrible thing.
yeah,
Because my kids are all about that movie.
Ben here kind of just burning cards or thinning cards from his deck. He realizes this game is probably his, but
Yeah. I think he's
smart the whole
recognizing
way.
the stall play, so he's digging for the Guzma. He only has one Guzma left because he's already played two.
Right.
So if he doesn't have a Guzma or Ace Roll in his hand when he needs it, he just takes some damage off the board, and Christian says, well, never mind that flying flip stuff. It was never going to happen without that damage, and that's the game.
So now we're going to game two. So, hopefully this time, it seemed like on the first turn, Christian, had him on the ropes. He judged him right away. He had the energy. And then Ben actually played Mallow and passed with a lone Zorua. And it kind of seemed like Christian had a chance to take over the game. But since that point, Christian really just did not draw anything, and Ben immediately drew out of it and kind of just never looked back.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, at some level, like, when you play a turn one judge, that's what you're hoping for, right? I mean, Ben kind of said, draw pass. Darn it, you got me with that judge. But Christian, this is the challenge of judge, right? Every time you play judge, you judge yourself. And he had just as bricky a hand as Ben. I mean, we talked about how the Deoxys was useless in this matchup. I mean, he had a powered-up attacker on the bench, and he was like, I can't even knock this guy out with this powered-up attacker.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
The one time he even attacked with Passimian, he could not do enough damage to knock out the Zoroark. So, obviously hoping for something better. And that's kind of another example of why Zoroark decks kind of exclusively are the ones that can really take advantage of Judge. Because they will draw out of the Judge every time, so long as they're set up.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Christian's playing this single prize attacker deck concept, but he's not playing an Oranguru. I feel like if I was imagining what these lists would be like, Oranguru would be a natural complement to a deck like this.
You would think, yeah, allow you to, there's a lot of items he can play, so a lot of turn and bird cards, and give him the ability to
he's got
draw.
the Pokénav, right? Like, he's got items. He's just gonna burn through his deck. He runs a ton of energy lottos to help him find the right energies for a given turn, and yet. I guess I can only assume they tested it, so
yeah,
there must be just enough supporters in stadiums to clog up your hand.
Yeah, but we'll see. They both mulligan there. I'm trying again. It looks like Passimian. Christian does have Passimian. I think he's got a couple
of Passimians. Yeah.
So that's good. That's what he wants to see.
This is what the stream wants to see. Bring on the Passimian army. Now, interestingly, Christian. Did you see a Christian puts the card kind of facing towards him and then flips it over that way instead of having it kind of face up in the right position? That's an interesting.
These are 4-digit pop ID plays.
Yeah, he's been at this a long time.
Yeah.
Whereas Ben put it kind of face down, but the proper orientation of the board, and then flips it over. I wonder how one arrives at the conclusion that that's the proper way to play.
So Christian will nest ball for a Coco. The Coco just gives him free retreat options. It means he doesn't need to find an escape board, for example, for some maneuverability later. He will need to retreat this Passimian or Guzma it, but interesting that he didn't take the other Passimian this early.
Yeah, he's not setting up the Passimian army, which is, I recognize what the people on the stream want. Although he's got the other Passimian in hand as well, right?
So he plays an Underground Expedition. So this is a supporter that saw play, or it was released a long time ago, back in the Rising Rivals set, I believe. And it allows you to look at the bottom 4 cards of your deck and pick 2 of them. So, if there's like a Passimian and an energy down there, or like an energy and a trainer, it kind of gives you a little bit of search without, while still kind of drawing you cards. So I saw 2 double in the bottom 2, and I didn't see what the 2 other cards were, but I don't think it was a search card or anything.
So that's interesting, right? I recognize Looker is a current format supporter where you take the bottom 3 cards off your deck. Is looking at the bottom 4 and taking 2 objectively better than just taking 3?
You know, it's the debate of how powerful are 3 random cards versus 2 cards you can, choose.
From 4.
Right, and I think, with Passimian, you really want a specific thing. You want an energy or a recovery card or something. So, very interesting card. We don't really see too much of it, but they've opted to utilize that. There's a lot of very specific cards in the deck that they want at any given time. So
yeah, what if you just played like a Tate and Liza? Like, how does he get cards on the bottom of his deck that he would want to choose from? Like, Tate and Liza would give you 5.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
I don't know. All I can say is that they have way more experience with Passimian than we do. So he gets the Passimian he wants down with the double color. So if he's got like a Guzma play next turn, he can pull up that Zorua and start attacking. If he's got an escape board, he can come up on this Buzzwole. A lot of options for him. So Ben is using Tapu Lele, searching his deck. Probably going to grab a Cynthia or a Lily. Obviously, I didn't see what he had in his hand. Ben does run a copy of Apricorn Maker. But he does opt for the Lily, so he could probably burn a lot of cards here.
Yeah, he's going to burn some more cards.
Kui and Cynthia get discarded. It's probably just going to take another Zorua if I had to guess.
Yeah. So God forbid you're new to the trading card game and just wandered into the stream. I mean, he's flipping through this deck so many times because he's checking what all of his prize cards are. He's checking all the counts of the important cards that he needs for this match and seeing what's in deck and what's hiding in his prizes.
Yeah, I would imagine cards he's particularly interested in. He wants to see, how many Devour Field there are to counter Christian's Shrine. He wants to see the Acerolas for healing. So he gets a Rockruff down as well. Not a bad start from Ben. He's got an energy even, I think, so he can start attacking with his Buzz if he wants, or attach it to Rockruff, set up for Claw Slash. He opts for that play. Claw Slash will be coming soon.
Yeah, Buzzwole's not the attacker he wants to attack with in this matchup, unless it's a Sledgehammer turn.
Christian does have a Guzma. He's going to pull up that Rockruff here, and he has the Passimian he needs to knock it out. And this is a much better start for Christian. With this Coco down now, he kind of has the mobility he needs to keep the Passimian flowing. He's a free retreat Pokemon every time. And now it's up to Ben to handle what is almost certainly going to be a much more consistent and aggressive Passimian deck this game.
Trades the Apricorn Maker. Yeah, I mean, they stream. This is what you were looking for. You just saw Passimian kill something. Go Lemurs.
Double Tails on Timer Ball.
Oh.
Unfortunately, one of the it's the risk you take with it.
Yeah,
he's trying it again though. He really wants another Zord.
Three tails.
And a hex.
Oh my God! If he had gone 0-4 when you asked him why he lost this game, he's gonna walk off the stream. Everyone's gonna say what happened to him. He's gonna say like, oh my God, timer balls.
So he's playing Cynthia as well. He still has access to both trades. He's looking for a double, obviously. Probably wants another Zorua down because this Zoroark will presumably get knocked out. Because Christian took a knockout last turn, if he knocks out this Zoroark, he will go to 3 prizes, which skips the Sledgehammer turn, which is something that Ben would have liked to be able to use in this game. But
yeah, as long as you've got the Buzzwole on the bench, you might as well try to get a Sledgehammer turn.
So he does have a double as the top card in his hand, and then he can just trade, find some more Pokemon or a Stretcher or something. Finds an Ultra Ball, that'll probably grab Zorua, or a Rockruff. Either's fine.
As people might have noticed, I always spend a lot of time looking at how people play. I find it very interesting that when Ben trades, he puts down his hand, and then he puts the card, and then he trades and draws 2, and then he picks up his hand again. I feel like most people I see play, they keep holding their hand and they just add 2 cards. I like the precision.
Yeah, I mean, going back to that four-digit pop ID play.
Yeah, he's been doing this a long time. I wonder how much of it is just like some sort of muscle memory habit you sometimes build, or if it's like thinking about how you want to play the game and then doing it that way.
So Christian immediately has the rescue stretcher. So he grabs the Passimian. He'd like to find another Passimian. He has the double as well. So he's going to retreat. And I believe this should knock out Zoroark, I think. He's going to Energy Lotto, probably just thinning his deck. Maybe grabbing a counter energy. We can use Mimikyu next turn if you wanted. Or actually, that won't activate. Be winning. He knocks out the Zoroark. So,
yeah, that was another great practice, right? He plays the Lotto, and then he just shows the energy that he got off of it by playing it sideways, as opposed to implying that it was played. I think that's good. That's good practice.
So now he's demonstrating that's more than enough with the weakness. So
right.
And then the 2 GXs on the bench will take Shrine Tick. So now Christian kind of has him where he wants him. Ben is, he can only touch 1 energy a turn, which means there's not going to be a turn where he can power up a Lycanroc if he wanted. So he's forced to go with this Zoroark all the time.
He could do a cube multi-switch play if he somehow magically found the multi-switch. But, yeah, he missed the Sledgehammer turn.
Acerola picking up that damage Lele, opening a bench spot and removing some damage as well. I'm not sure what he wants to put there, if anything. Maybe another Rock Ruff just to give him double catcher effects.
Yeah.
He wants to start taking out those Passimian that boost his damage, if he can. Once he knocks out this active one, he grabs another Zorua. So we'll go down to 4 prizes here, but Christian has a much better setup this time. So he's probably got what he needs to respond here, and we'll see what happens on Christian's turn. You're seeing the value of the Coco. It gives him the ability to kind of pick how he wants to play the turn.
He's got the shrine ready. The problem is I don't see a rescue stretcher in his hand. And he needs to find another Passimian, right? And he needs a DCE. Yeah, he doesn't have it, but he's got a Cynthia. Let's draw 6 fresh cards.
He has Acrobike as well to try and find them. He's got Energy Lotto as well. So he's a lot of different combinations of cards that will get him what he needs here.
Yeah. But the counter catchers are just not, or the counter energies are not super useful in this matchup because he's ahead.
He's winning, yep.
So the result is he has very few outs finding the energy. I mean, as we said, he runs 3 Energy Lottos. He's got more outs than your average person. Oh, I think that was the DCE.
I do see a Brooklet Hill as well. So he's going to Acrobike first, see what he finds. He took that card immediately.
Found another DCE.
That's the DCE he wants.
He does not want to discard DCEs at this point.
Not
He's too far ahead.
So he
discards the
takes
DNC.
Something else.
Got another DCE. Oh, got a stretcher off the Cynthia, I think.
This is perfect for him.
Yeah, he's gotten everything he needs.
He'll retreat, and he'll take another knockout on this Zoroark.
Yeah, he doesn't want to play the Brooklet. So he held off playing the Brooklet, which would let him find a Passimian in deck, because he likes having the Shrine out, and he had the Rescue Stretcher already, so he was like, oh, all my problems are solved.
Yep. Ben is looking for a supporter here. Maybe he thinks about Judge. He's eyeing the Cynthia as well. Yeah, I think he has to retreat to, not sure. The Lele will survive a knockout for sure this turn from this Passimian, but Christian is a Guzma away from winning this match. So let's see what Ben gets off the Cynthia. Obviously a Zoroark he'd like. I think a Lycanroc could be useful for him. If Christian doesn't have the Guzma, but
if you get the Lycanroc, do you pull up the Mimikyu and just play the stall game?
I think you have to. That's
although he's got the DCE to retreat.
He just concedes.
He says that was never going to work.
That was the kind of game that Christian wanted. You can see the power of Passimian against a Zoroark deck when Passimian does set up. It's non-EX attackers that one-shot your GX attackers. And that, in the history of Pokemon, that is just not good trades for the GX deck, generally speaking. So,
yeah, and his deck was flowing super smoothly there, right? He did not miss tempo in those last couple of turns, and I mean, he was Cynthiaing, and if he had missed the rescue stretcher of Brooklet Hill, he would not have been able to get there. But he found DCEs, he found rescue stretchers. He had no problem kind of keeping tempo and blowing through Ben's board there.
Yeah. So, if I'm Ben, going into this third game, I mean, obviously, I'd like to have access to more trades this game to keep drawing. But other than that, I mean, it's really tough. The Pissimian deck is kind of built to beat the Zoroark decks. Maybe if Ben can force Christian into a fourth prize, taking 2 prizes, so he's at 4. He can use a Buzzwole once. Other than that, maybe hoping a Judge can stick. He only runs 1 Judge. He does have a Palpad, but we'll see what happens.
It was an interesting decision. I recognize last turn Ben had that option to grab a Judge and try to see if he could, kill the active and then cause Christian to brick the Kuzma, although he Cynthia'd and wasn't able to get the pieces he needed. So I guess the answer is that was never going to work, right?
And we are going into game 3. Starts double of the attacking Pissimian. He actually has only had 1 of that Pissimian in play either of these games at any given time. But he's got both now, which is way worse for Ben.
So people less familiar with this Pissimian deck, he runs a 2-2 split of Pissimians because one of them, the one that's on the board here, has the attack that we've been talking about. The other Pissimian does not, but its ability is increases damage for fighting Pokemon attacks on evolutions, right?
It Pissimian's attacks on evolutions.
Pissimian's attacks.
Yeah.
So you want to play the split because you want the ability, but to keep attacking, you have to find one of these 2 Pokemon.
Yeah. So Ben is playing, looks like that's an Apricorn Maker. Nest Ball and Ultra Ball. Nest Ball will find him a basic, another Zorua, and then the Ultra Ball he'll have for next turn to grab either a Lele or a Zoroark if he already has a supporter. But Christian can take a prize immediately if he has a double colorless. So, we'll see what he does on his turn. We'll start with Energy Lotto, looking for that double colorless. Energy Lotto, of course, looks at the top 8, and you take an energy card you find there.
So, as somebody who is not an encyclopedia of Pokemon movie knowledge, what is an Apricorn?
Your guess is as good as mine. I have not kept up with.
The reason we wear these.
Okay, we're learning that it's apparently a character in the game that creates Pokeballs from Apricorns. That makes sense, actually. I remember this from Gold and Silver. And this newest set is kind of themed on the Johto region, so if I remember correctly. So. Or maybe it's not because it's Hoenn, Rayquaza. I don't know. Whatever. He's playing Lily for... he drew some cards. He's got a Nest Ball as well. So maybe he's going to grab a Koko and just have something to retreat into. Maybe he wants to grab another Pissimian to just have him in play.
I recognize that the Koko's been super useful because you have to stream these attackers. But he's already got another attacker on the bench. So maybe he would feel fine saying, hey, I'm just going to grab another Pissimian. Let's increase my damage output. If he kills this guy, I'll just go into the other Pissimian. It's fine.
I don't think he has a double, though, so maybe he wants to conserve these Pissimian. I think if he could have taken a knockout, he takes the other Pissimian, but he does go for the Koko here. He doesn't really care if the Koko gets knocked out because he has 2 of the attacking Pissimian, which kind of negates the need for Koko, at least right now. But... he's got another Energy Lotto, so if he can find a double colorless, he will take a knockout to counter energy. Not what he wanted. Counter will activate next turn if the Koko is knocked out. So, still useful for him, but taking a prize this turn would have been nice.
Right.
Well.
But he's thinning his deck out. I mean, I think part of the point of the beauty of this deck is just try to burn through stuff, right?
So he attaches a counter to the bench Pissimian, and we'll just use that escape board, lowering the retreat cost of his Pissimian by 1, and will retreat into the Koko and pass. So now it's up to Ben. Priority 1 is getting Zoroark in play. Zoroark needs Zoroark to draw.
Yeah, and he's got another counter energy in hand, so he can start attacking with the other Pissimian.
even if this does not get knocked
Even
out.
if this, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the counter energy is just a single colorless energy if you are ahead. But the good news is it's something. He's halfway to powering up something, even if he's ahead.
So Ben discards Choice Band and Dedenne. Dedenne's not going to really do anything in this matchup. I think Psimian is weak to Psychic. Grabs a Lele with that Ultra Ball. Probably going to grab a Cynthia if I had to guess, just to see more cards this turn. Give him a higher chance of hitting a double. Does take that Cynthia. Probably looking at his hand. And Hand Hammer off the counter energy. That's good.
Yeah.
You know, Christian has the other counter energy.
Yeah, he doesn't know Christian's already got another counter energy ready to go.
But
and he's,
you know, still a good thing. You know, forces him to find a double, or that counter that he does have.
And if he doesn't knock out the Coco this turn, he's going to have to find a DCE to attack because the counter energy will not give him the energy output he needs until he's behind on prizes.
Draws 6 here. I don't see a double in his hand. I think that's an Ultra Ball at the top. No, it's a Stretcher, but he trades that into a Zoroark.
Finds a Zoroark.
Lycanroc was the second one.
Yep, he's got a Coco, so he's like, what we need is an energy and another Pokemon. Gets the energy.
That's perfect. So he needs 2 Pokemon to play, the Coco and something else.
I think he's scheming on whether or not he has a way to get something.
He did just discard the Ultra Ball, so I would assume he has a way to get another basic.
Yeah, he's
got
an Ultra
another
Ball.
Ultra Ball.
Yeah, he's going to push for this. I assume he's going to grab a Rockruff because he's got the Lycanroc in hand. He's like, why wouldn't I get a Rockruff down this turn?
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Another Zorua wouldn't be awful either because, you know, if this Zoroark dies. But he is going for the Buzzwole, actually, because if Christian retaliates with a knockout on the Zoroark, that means Buzzwole will activate its Sledgehammer bonus effect. And
this is a good play.
That's a good thing for Ben, and this was a solid response.
He pushed really hard and hit everything he needed.
Christian pushes up.
The bad news is counter energy is going now.
The Skater Boy. He's got the counter. Choice Band counter energy. His Zoroark is going to the discard this turn, almost certainly.
So he's at 7. He's at 140 damage. He needs one more Pissimian.
He needs, one more. And that's a Nest Ball. That'll grab the Pissimian he needs.
Yeah, because the ability gives him just the last squeak of damage output he needs to get over the top.
We see a Rescue Stretcher. Gonna grab that Coco again.
Yeah.
He likes the free retreat aspect of it. And then he'll Cynthia. So what he wants to find here off the Cynthia is, you know, a way to get another Pissimian, either with a Stretcher or a Nest Ball or something for the other kind of Pissimian.
Right.
And then a Guzma, actually, if he can, because he probably is, you know, assuming that this Buzzwole is going to come up and knock him out. So he wants to go around that and keep feasting on these Zoroarks if he can.
Yeah.
So he draws.
That's interesting. I recognize this is a tribute to Christian's experience. I don't know if I would have shuffled the Rescue Stretcher back in or grabbed the Coco. I mean, he has another Coco in deck. He's got an attacking Pissimian on the board. Would I think that I need that, or would I think?
Well, it kind of guarantees the Coco. You know, if he doesn't get it this turn, then he needs to find it the next turn to keep the stream going. So this way, he burns a card and.
But drawing into Rescue Stretchers is a great thing for Christian. I mean, every time he draws a Rescue Stretcher, he must say, "Yay! It's a Rescue Stretcher.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that thing we do."
So they're counting. I think that's a knockout.
Yeah, he's checking his math before he attacks, trying to see if there's anything else he wants to do.
Choice Band is the same effect, so take a knockout. I don't see what he rips off the prizes.
The judge says, "Let me see what the heck that is."
And immediately plays a Cynthia. He had the fighting energy in hand, so probably just wants a Zoroark, probably wants a Rockruff. and just wants to guarantee he sees the most cards. We are under 10 minutes left. You know, this game's not going to go to time, but it has actually gone for a little while here. So, exactly what you'd expect
the rock
from these
ruff.
two decks.
He's got a fighting energy, and but he's already attached for this turn.
We'll trade
it's time
once.
to trade and see if he finds the Zoroark. If not, he'll play the timer ball. Down comes the timer ball.
Wants to get 1 heads for a Zoroark. 2 heads grabs him the Lycanroc for next turn.
Oh, he's loving life.
2 heads. Much better than last turn.
Yeah, he's like, about time I started flipping heads on my timer balls.
Grabs both of those dogs.
Yeah, you can tell he was excited about that. He was like, oh, yeah.
So, see what happens here. Gonna evolve and trade again, probably.
Does Christian have an energy for next turn?
I am not sure. I can't see what's in his hand. So we'll trade the fighting.
Yeah.
Will knock out that Pissimian with Sledgehammer, and now Christian needs to
He's
find...
got a lot of acro bikes. He's got a nest ball.
I think that's a Guzma in his hand as well. So we'll take the other Pissimian. Christian's playing this pretty smart. He's not needlessly playing nest balls or rescue stretchers. You know, he only has 1 Pissimian in play that attacks, but he only needs 1 to knock out the Zoroark. So he's just, you know, conserving his resources in case of a judge or something. A very, very smart.
He did not look like he had a lot of energy left in deck there. I felt like I saw 2 double colorlesses and a counter. I mean, there must be more, but not that much energy.
So, counter energy
Is that a
won't
DCE
trigger.
back there?
I'm not sure. I think it must be if he's pulling this up.
Yeah, he was really getting after it. That was a DCE, all right.
So now,
he's debating whether or not he should play any of these cards, even though he's kind of accomplished his mission for this turn, right?
Oh, I think if I'm Christian, I just knock it out. You don't want to burn the acrobatics. You want to save them in case of a judge.
Exactly.
Or on this next turn when you need to find a lot.
It's like, we got where we were going. It's fine.
He's not using the effect. So now, actually, if Ben has, he runs a copy of Multi-Switch. So if he can find the Multi-Switch, push up that fighting energy to the active Lycanroc.
Yeah, he's doing it.
And
he's going to
double.
DCE, multi-switch.
Here we go. So this is very good. This is, you know, a pretty optimal turn for Ben. And now it kind of forces Christian to get both of those Pissimian back and the Diancie. And a choice band. So Christian will need a lot. Alternatively, if he just has like Stretcher, Energy, Guzma, the game is over. So, but this is still Ben's best chance to win.
Christian's got the DCE in hand, right? Thought I saw it. Yeah, it's right there in front of the 2 acro bikes.
So he will Ben will still need to get through 4 of these lemurs. So we'll see what Christian does. Can he take the game this turn? So he needs Pissimian, Energy, Guzma.
So if you saw Stretcher and Guzma here, which would you take?
Well, he took both of those cards pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, he acrobiked into an acrobike and then acrobiked into something else. He says, it looks like those are 2 different stadiums. Is it a brooklet and a shrine?
I think it might be.
It's like, do I want a brooklet? He's just trying to decide if he has a way to get, if there's a Pokemon he wants out of his deck, or if he should just play down the shrine and enjoy the chip.
He opts for the shrine.
Decides to take the shrine.
What a bad play. He's going to Nest Ball. Probably just thin the deck.
There's not a lot of Pokemon left in deck.
I don't think did we see Diancie in the deck?
No, Diancie's in his hand.
Okay. All right, so that's what he wants. He's taking this Deoxys. Probably just burn cards. He could attack with it, but he wants to probably save these doubles for the Pissimian.
Yeah.
Maybe just burning cards. Maybe he realizes, you know, I can't get it this turn, so I'm going to play as many cards as I can and go for it next turn, but I didn't see what was in his hand, so I'm not sure what he's thinking.
I mean, it doesn't have the Stretcher. That's the piece he's missing, is the attacking Pissimian.
He has his Judge in his hand as well. He attaches a double to that Deoxys. So now he's kind of saying, you know, he'll hit this Lycan Rock for a hefty amount here with the Shrine damage. And then, you know, if Ben goes around the Deoxys and attacks a Passimian, then he leaves the Deoxys in play, and Christian can attack with it and possibly win the game that way. Alternatively, he has to deal with the Deoxys, and then that gives Christian a chance to find a stretcher.
And the Deoxys is hitting for, what, 60?
So it'll do 20, 40, 60, 80, and then 90 with the Shrine tick.
Oh.
So, and then that sets it up for like a Choice Band Psychic the next turn if Ben got rid of the Shrine. So this is smart by Christian, giving himself the most chances. And by staying at 2 prizes here, Christian also, he can go down, let Ben take 2 more prizes.
No, isn't it only
counters.
60? It's not 20 plus. It's 20 times, right?
No, it's 20 plus.
Really?
Yeah.
God,
Same as Baby Mewtwo.
I don't know anything about Pokemon.
So smart play by Christian. You know, he can even sit here and wait a turn, even if this gets knocked out, and that'll trigger counter energy, which boosts his total energy yield up from 1 or 2 to like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Which gives him way more outs.
On purpose or not on purpose, I think Ben is one of the nice things that Ben has had for this game is he's never fallen too far behind, but he's pacing it just to keep the counter energies from coming into play.
Yep.
The result is Christian is running dangerously low on energy that he can attack with.
Difference here is Ben has access to Acerola, so he can negate this 2-hit play from Christian, which it looks like he's going to do. And then he'll be able to knock out this Deoxys with a Zoroark if he wants. We'll see what he does. There's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, so
yeah. If you just heard that big monotone thing, they were calling time for the regular players.
So we're getting pretty close. Plays the Acerola, heals up that bad boy. So he'll take a knockout here on the Deoxys, but this is his only Zoroark, so he doesn't have access to a lot of cards to draw, and also it means that this Stretcher...
Yeah, Stretcher DCE is a winner, right?
Into the Stretcher, that's 2 Stretchers.
Got the DCE.
And that is the game.
That's it.
Christian Ortiz.
Ooh, boy, Christian knew he had it.
Simeon takes down the...
He had another DC in his hand? My word. That is a